Before a day outdoors, is it tea or coffee?
Oh, cup of tea.
Oh,
I'm a strange British person. I don't do tea or coffee, so hot chocolate.
And your favourite season?
Autumn.
Spring.
Favourite animal?
Oh, that's really tough for a ranger. That's
why we're asking.
Oh, I love sharks.
Oh,
I
okay.
used to be marine ranger for Dorset, so I still have a very, very strong affinity with the sea.
Didn't know there was a marine ranger.
There isn't any.
The weirdest or strangest thing you've had to do as a part of your job?
Oh no, that's the weirdest thing that's ever happened.
Oh my goodness.
I'm Sam,
I'm Erin.
and this is Dorset Council's podcast, Invisible Impact.
Because the work we do may not always be visible, but the impact is anything but.
So, that's what you always say. So today we're joined by, do you want to introduce yourselves?
After you.
I'm Coral, and I'm the Senior Marketing and Communications Ranger for Country Parks.
And I'm Ben. I'm the senior ranger at Avon Heath Country Park.
And we're out at Avon Heath Country Park right now, if you can't tell by the camera.
And the sun.
So, the most enjoyable task in your job?
I love communicating passion for wildlife and just opening up the kind of hidden kind of treasures that are there to people. That's really nice. But to be honest, I teach hedge laying. I've done it. My grandfather was a hedge layer, and that passing on those old skills and teaching people how to use tools and just keeping things like that still alive is a great pleasure in ranger work.
What is hedge laying?
Hedge laying is the traditional management of boundaries between fields. So before we had wire fences, you either had a dry stone wall or you had a hedge. And to maintain the hedge, you every 15, 20 years, you will cut 3/4 of the way through the stem and you will lay it down. And then you'll go to the next shrub or tree or what it's trying to be and lay that down. And you lay it onto itself and you create this kind of 3 foot, 4 foot barrier that your sheep and your cattle can't push through. So yeah, a really old skill. Thankfully it was kind of almost saved from obscurity in that from the 1970s. Now lots of people, I think, are doing in this competitions and what have you back nowadays.
As you said, people, definitely people. So I've mainly lived in cities and towns and stuff, so not so much access to green space and that kind of thing. So I love kind of opening that world up to people that don't get the opportunity very much. So I do a lot of social media and stuff like that, marketing, to get people to kind of realise that it is a space for them as well, and that they can kind of just get out and enjoy it. So yeah, I enjoy meeting the people and chatting to people that are like, I found this online and I never knew it was here and we've loved it and kids loved it, we're going to come back. And yeah, I enjoy that a lot.
Excellent. And your least favourite part of your job?
Picking up after people's dogs. That's not a pleasure.
So surprised.
I think the hardest thing is when people treat nature badly, really, whether it be you can put a sign up saying there's ground nesting birds here. These birds have traveled thousands of miles to come and lay an egg here, and then some people find it too much to put their dog on a lead and not let it run out and scare that bird off the nest, or inconsiderate to other people in taking over all the one group taking over all the kind of seating in an area to exclude other people. It's just like this is here for everyone. Try and and it's for humans and for wildlife. And I think that's probably the bits that you kind of you don't enjoy as much. You just hope people will be as considerate as possible, and 95%, probably 99% are. There's just a few that don't, unfortunately. But
Some of the
that's
best
life,
and the worst parts of your jobs is the people.
yeah,
Talking to them.
absolutely. I mean, to be fair, also one of the things I really do enjoy is training staff and upskilling those and teaching them how to hedge lay, teaching them how to fell a tree, to use a brush cutter, to use these tools, to do interpretation, to do job interviews. There's my colleague in the area team was our apprentice like 8 years ago, and now they're senior ranger for the east of the county. Those you can really impact people's lives. You can do that. Other apprentices have gone on to be Heathland officers for the Forestry Commission. If you work hard and you're dedicated to what you're doing, then the sky's the limit. And Dorset Council are really good at taking apprentices up through and promoting them. That's a real, to see someone come in that has no real understanding or a very basic understanding, just a passion to want to help, and then them to end up having a lifelong career. Yeah, it's a pretty good job.
Excellent. Least enjoyable part of your job?
Definitely, again, people. It can be. So it's going to sound really dodgy, but like the dark side of social media, where you get the keyboard warriors and people that just, no matter what explanation you try and give for something, or to try and give them the facts, they don't want to listen, and can be really quite hurtful and mean sometimes. And when you're so passionate about what you do, sometimes you've got to take a step back to be like, no, walk away for a bit, go for a walk, and then come back and deal with it. So sometimes, the people, again, like Ben said, 99% of the people are wonderful, they're lovely, but that 1%, you kind of remember them. So yeah, sometimes it is the dark side of social media.
Yeah, it's like I can understand that, absolutely. The weirdest or strangest thing you've had to do as part of your job?
One thing does stand out. Thankfully not here. I'm not sure you want to use it, to be honest.
So
We
we're doing
definitely do. We definitely do.
Okay. I once in a park that I worked in London had to ask a naked rent boy to put his trousers back on and escort him out of the park because that's not appropriate behaviour. Running around naked, looking for custom. You're not going to make friends with the rangers there. But he had a quite a frosty reception from all our dog walkers, because when they reported it, because dog walkers are often, their eyes and ears on the ground, they see everything. And they came in and told me, I'm like, right, get as many people as you can, stand in the car park, because he's going to walk back and get to his car. And there's a 80-yard walk of shame. As I frog marched him back to his car in front of 40 people. He didn't come back again.
No, strange.
Well, you've got to top that.
I don't think I can. Did you use your ranger jacket to cover his modesty?
No. He had turned up with his clothes, and in no uncertain terms did I tell him to put them back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was London.
Wasn't a Dorset
No.
Never happened.
Rangering in Dorset generally doesn't have anything
Excellent.
quite as bad as that.
No.
Thankfully.
And then the weirdest or strangest thing?
Yeah, it's like a few weeks ago that I had like really long meetings and decided I needed the ladies So I thought I'd take a longer walk to one that was a little bit further away, and I heard this hissing as I was walking there past the railway. So it was at Moors Valley, there's like a mini railway, and there was one of the cygnets, I think, had a flying lesson that had gone wrong, so it ended up on the railway track.
Oh wow.
So I was on my own. I didn't have a radio at the time as well, stupidly. Ranger rule number 1, always remember my radio. So I had to jump over the fence to try and stop the train from getting the cygnet, who obviously wasn't very keen with me being quite so close as well. And it was kind of hobbling and stuff. So I had to get a message out to the Rangers for someone to come and try and help me. In the meantime, the trains were kind of going past, luckily not hitting the cygnet. But oh no, that's the weirdest thing that's ever happened.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you could see that on camera, but a squirrel's just fallen out of the tree.
Oh, baby. Falling out of the nest.
It's fallen out the tray.
Oh, is it the nest up? Oh, I can see that there's a mum's coming down now, I think.
Yeah. We stand back, see if the mother will come.
To be honest.
Oh.
So we're back after a short
Yes.
Interlude.
Break.
squirrel break.
That might under the
Well,
wrong word for
it
the
wasn't.
break.
Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't a break.
Yeah.
It's back up.
It's back up. It's gone up the
Can
tree.
confirm, yeah.
Yeah, we've done the tree.
Confirmed squirrels
safe.
can fall further than humans and survive.
Yeah. I mean, that was a
Yeah,
fall.
Very impressive.
that was a 15 to 18 meter fall. So, wow.
Yeah.
So what's the weirdest thing that's happened to you? while on the
I
top?
love squirrels, and they tend to drop on my head. Yeah. No, that's just, it's thrown me.
It's to ruin the flow of the podcast.
We'll do a restart. Right.
How dare the squirrel?
Yeah, the squirrel just wanted to be part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That badly.
Could have asked.
Yeah.
I just want to know if it was like caught. I don't think it was, but like slow motion, just falling through the air.
It was. It seemed like from the side, it was just like,
Yeah,
like down,
it was,
straight
it
down.
was a bang.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Moving on.
So, oh,
Are you going to start? No, I was going to ask then because I'm quite intrigued. You were a marine ranger.
Yeah. So my
Previously.
first job. So there was at Dolphins Country Park. There was a marine officer,
Yes.
and there was a marine project before I started, and then that started to tail off. They kind of wrapped it up really because it had been studying the bottlenose dolphin pod for kind of 10 years and stuff that were off Delston Head. But over those 10 years, the sightings got less and less and less and less, and they were no longer a resident pod in Poole Bay, and that pod relocated pretty much into Lyme Bay. So I still coordinated all the sightings of dolphins and marine species such as sunfish for the county, but that was also, I was part of the ranger team, so carrying out habitat management, working on the restoration of Delston Castle, taking it from a ruin into what won Britain's favourite heritage project the year after we opened. So yeah, that was great. Working at, well, I still miss the views over the sea.
Yeah.
It's and I love being around the sea. It's always changing. It's always changing, minute to minute. It's always changing.
You've taken us around Avon Heath before we started the podcast, and you're obviously very knowledgeable about Heathland, about the management and wildlife. Is that something that you've learned over time, or is that?
Yes, it is something that I've learned over time, and a lot of that is having good colleagues that you learn from, but also you do need to put in some of the time to actually research and read and look at some of the scientific papers. So there's a paper on soil and the carbon capturing of Heathland soils. So one of the big questions that comes up with when you're restoring a heathland is, well, you're cutting all the trees down. Shouldn't we be planting trees? Well, yes, and we need more trees, but it's more nuanced than that. So right tree, right place. These Scots pines, whilst are native to the UK, weren't here in England for about 500 years until they started being planted as a timber crop. And so, yes, trees capture carbon, but they are a temporary storm. So as you see the wood on the floor behind us and stuff, that's slowly rotting, that's re-releasing its carbon. So it captures it for centuries, but it doesn't lock it in. Whereas a heath and soil locks in.
Okay.
So what's your background, Carl?
My background is very varied. So I studied sport and leisure and tourism. So I've done pretty much everything. I've been a kids entertainer at a holiday park, like a Red Coat, managed a pub, worked at Alton Towers with Barney the dinosaur, worked at IT, web development.
Wow.
I was a trainer for gyms, customer services and stuff. And then I found myself in Dorset. So yeah, I think it was kind of all the skills I picked up along the way have helped me to kind of get here. So yeah, I didn't even know this kind of job existed when, I grew up in Sussex. I had family down here, so relocated. But when I was growing up, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a ranger, apart from like Yogi Bear and stuff. It just didn't occur to me that it was even an opportunity to do as a job. So it opened my eyes to a lot. And then that's where I kind of hope that I can bring it to other people, like I say, other people like me when they're growing up who couldn't access it. Hopefully I can help them to be able to reach it now and enjoy it. Yeah. So yeah, lots of different things, but I think they've given me lots of different skills and resilience and stuff to be here now. So yeah.
Excellent.
People know what a ranger is, really, because it sort of sounds like a cowboy, or like you said, Yogi Bear. It just sounds cool, like ranger.
People always say, like, "Oh wow, that must be an amazing job," and it is. Although I might recommend staying a ranger rather than senior ranger, because I spend most of my time on a computer or on a phone rather than.
We're getting
So, but people's idea of a ranger is all like literally. Imagine us to have like a really good suntan on the right hand side, like because you're driving around in a Land Rover, just kind of looking at things, going, "Oh no, it's another bird tick," and it's so not like that. It's hard graft, it's hard physical graft, and when you're learning the trade and you're coming into it, and our apprenticeship scheme. The guys, are going out there, and I do feel sorry for them on those days where it's absolutely coming in sideways. You're still going to be outside, you're going to have your waterproofs on, but you're going to be on the end of a brush cutter or maybe a chainsaw, and you're going to be kind of cutting stuff down and dragging it and maybe burning it or maybe putting it through a chipper, depending on the job. It's probably not for the faint-hearted, and it's a lot more. It can be a lot more physical than most people realise, and it can be repetitive as well. We've got 300 hectares nearly to maintain and keep open and stop it from scrubbing up and all the bushes taking over and it becoming woodland again. And when you've got kind of 4 guys that are actually trained on the tools to actually go out and do that, that's a lot of stuff to do in a year. So it's it can, there are aspects that are kind of monotonous, but that's what we all had to go through. If you're a practical ranger and you're working in the practical side of things and habitat management as opposed to visitor services, you have to you have to kind of really kind of love what you do and love being outside and kind of go, I'm doing this for wildlife. That said, the other aspect I love of the job really is the variety. I mean, like you really, you're looking after a whole site, whether it be, fixing something in the play area, or I mean, this morning the first thing was one of the toilets was constantly running with water, and obviously we don't want to environment. There's a lot of toilets. It's like, oh, quick, go in, and then you need to adjust the system.
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay, I'll adjust that. Showed the apprentice how to do it, so for future reference, he sees it again, he can go and do that.
And then a squirrel falls out of the tree.
And a squirrel goes out of the tree.
Yeah.
And then putting together habitat restoration projects, and we've got a big one that's just started on the sites that I used to manage around the east of the county. So the other sites of special scientific interest, they are being restored, and they're having the invasive pine trees taken off, and great reduction in the birch and especially the rhododendron and the gorse. Whilst gorse is an important part of the Heathland mosaic and structure and habitat, too much of it, and it's not good for the actual for the heather and the invertebrates in the heather. But also it holds a large fire risk as well, as we saw with Holt Heath, the fire on Holt Heath. So if there's not active management by wardens and rangers, the fuel load builds up and builds up and builds up, and then when there is an ignition, then that is really quite severe. So not what's good for wildlife is also really good for the residents of Dorset, in the fact that if you border a heathland, you want that heathland managed, and we rely a lot on volunteers to come out and help do those practical management, just on the pure volume of how much work we've got. So I'd always encourage people and local residents to come in and join in those conservation, do something good for the wildlife, but also it's good for the local residents. If you've got less vegetation there, of volatile vegetation, then that's actually protecting homes and communities as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely really varied. You can do so many different jobs in a day, I think. Like you say, the maintenance side of things, customer services, visitor services, first aid, lost children, fires, nature, wildlife, just things happen. You got your plan in your head of what your day is going to be, and you've got it all on Outlook. We're going to do this at this time, this at this time, and then a call comes in or something, and you're like, right, okay, down tools, off you go, and there's something else, and that's great, I think, because you never know what's going to happen, and even when it's difficult, you're all together. You're kind of in it and helping each other, and everyone has a different part to play, and I think it's good. Everyone has different skill sets, don't they, within the team, so you can lean on each other for certain things, and it's good.
It really is very, and I think that's there's not many jobs probably that are as varied as what we do, and so it keeps it interesting. It really it really does, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. And like I said, you can be inside, you can be outside, and we've got the 4 country parks, and they're all so different as well. So you've got Heathland, the coast, and then woodland and stuff. So you've got a bit of everything really, and it's just it's amazing. But it can, like you say, it can be difficult. But even in the difficult times, you still love it.
Amazing. And is part of that the people that you work with as well, having that same mindset?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we're all in it for the right reason. We're all really passionate about it, and I think we learn a lot from each other, because again we've all got different knowledge base, so we can kind of learn from each other. And I think at the end of the day, when you've had a really difficult one, you're all sat there before you kind of finish, it's nice because you can all kind of just talk to each other. You all understand what's happened. We've all been through the same thing, and it's a good team kind of feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm far better on a chainsaw than I have no idea about social media.
I have no idea about that's why it works.
So we've all got our skills, and
we can swap
but as
for
a
a day.
team,
Nothing to go wrong with that, I'm sure.
Actually, those two things
Just me
could go
going
really wrong, really badly wrong for both. But
it could be very fun to film.
That would be interesting. Top 5 reasons to visit one of our country parks.
Well, I think value for money would be a great one in times where families are are pushed. Yes, we have a parking fee, but we think that's pretty reasonable. But then there's no other, you don't have to spend any other money. Bring a picnic, go for a walk. There's and that's the same with Moors Valley. There might be lots of things and attractions to do, and choose to actually do that. But there's no entrance fee, or and you can spend an entire day with an entire family, and still have change from a tenner. That's probably important for, or is important for a lot of our visitors. We've got great play areas. Most of the people that probably come to Avon Heath are families with young kids that just have got energy to burn, and mum and dad can just sit down on the park bench and go, "Phew, right, you guys go and knock yourself out," and they'll run around for 2 hours. It's like, right, they've got rid of their energy now.
I was going to say, as a mother, it's a fantastic park.
So that's I think it's important to us as well. We don't want to exclude anyone because of their their social and economic background. We will welcome everybody, and we want everybody to come.
That's one. That's good.
Yeah, I think connecting with each other as well. So although we get quite a lot of dog walkers on their own or people on their own, but see a lot of groups meeting. So they come from all over the place and they kind of meet in the middle, and then have a picnic together or go for a walk, have a play, go to Dorset and walk on the cliff tops and watch the dolphins. And so there's a lot of kind of reconnecting with nature, but also with each other. I think, which is good. And I don't know, I find the mindfulness and the zoning out, you can just lose yourself really, and that I think is really important, especially at the moment. There's a lot going on in the world, and just a half an hour walk,
Well-being,
the things you see, and you kind of switch off for that little bit of time. I think that's important,
and it is so important, and that is so much of why people come here. I mean, whether it's a dedicated bird watcher, they're still getting out there and having their mindfulness and having their hobby and having their quiet headspace, and I think a little bit of quiet headspace, we can all really benefit from that. We've all got busy lives, we're bombarded by whether it's social media or screens or news or what have you, and actually just to get out and sit on a bench with no one else around and just zone out. I think is just really good for your mind and also for the body. Walking out and doing that exercise. I think it's really important.
What would you say? What would be the things you'd convince someone if you could to be a ranger? Why would you want to be a ranger? To the camera.
Well, you can make a difference. You can make a seriously big difference to wildlife and the environment we live in. You can improve people's lives,
and your own,
yeah, absolutely. You can be part of a really good team. It's fun to work in, and I think the variety.
Definitely.
I think it's the opposite of being kind of on a production line and going dun all day. If that is your idea of hell, then ranger work may be your dream job.
What would you say, both your roles might have different answers, what would you say your impact is at Dorset Council? Or in the environment or anything like that?
Mine I think is more, again, helping people to find and discover the countryside and the country park. So I really want to reach the people that kind of think it's not for them, or that it's not, they're not part of that world, and really get them to come and try it and see actually it really is. Maybe one of the parks isn't quite what they'd like, but they'd find another one that is. So again, like you say, we've got the coast, the forest, the countryside, the heath. So there's something for everyone. And I think sometimes you see something or you hear somebody say something and you think, oh, I did that. You found this because I put that advert out there, or I took that picture and you saw it and that inspired you to go and do it. So it's not always obvious and you often forget, but I think that's often, you have a little reminder every now and again. You think, okay, yeah, that happened because, they discovered it because of me or my team. So yeah, I think that's
really making a difference to the wildlife and the habitats. And it, you know, if you knock over several thousand trees, it's hardly an invisible impact, to be fair. But that impact is, you know, that's seen on the ground, the invertebrates on the ground, the plants on the ground that come back there. People don't need that. They see the big thing, but they don't come back and see the kind of the small thing. And I think excuse me, my eyes are running.
It's emotion.
He loves it so much.
It's that restoration and that slowly coming back that a lot of the time people they walk past it. It's green. They don't realize that there's such biodiversity in that, and that by creating that biodiversity, you're then giving life and an opportunity in life for all the things in the food chain above that. So our incredibly rare lizards and snakes, they've got something to eat. They've got a habitat to live in. The birds, you know, that are massively under threat, you know, and whether it be, you know, if they're flying in from Africa, they've got enough food to replenish. You know, you imagine flying 3,000 miles somewhere and like Brent geese to come and feed, you know.
Quite a long way to go for a meal.
It's a long way to go for a meal, and you don't want to
then
get
if they
there.
run out.
Yeah, you don't want to get there. And there's no food.
It's like the
you know.
McFlurry machine
Yeah.
off.
It's always off.
So creating that allows, you know, it's not just here, and it's making a difference to this little patch, you know, this 10 by 10 area that we've restored. You know, that's got wider and, you know, potentially global implications to other species. So I think that's probably the invisible part of it, that yeah, you do the good stuff and everyone goes, oh, you've made a mess, you flattened everything, why you cut that down? But it's everything after that that's actually been good with it.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you for coming on
Thank
the
you.
podcast.
Thank you.
Make sure we don't freeze.